Welcome aboard USS Cod. I'm Cod Director Paul Ferrace. We're back aboard the boat. We're going to talk about an important aspect of the fleet submarine, the watertight doors. I've got our curator Ben here, and we've got Evan behind the camera, another curator. So 3 curators, we ought to be able to open and close the door. We will find out. The fleet submarine is divided into 8 major watertight compartments. The fleet boat has enough reserve buoyancy, that the boat can get back to the surface with one of its 8 major compartments completely flooded, as long as it isn't the control room. But that's critical. If you have some calamity, whether it's a perforation of the pressure hull or flooding through the tubes or something, you want to limit the flooding to the compartment that has the casualty. And that's where these doors come in to play. They have the same pressure integrity as the pressure hull. Now, normally in operation, the doors are wide open. In fact, they're on the latch. And come on in here, Evan. We're going to get a close-up. This is the latch. It's got a little spring-loaded bumper and a catch, so I'm going to demonstrate that. The door itself's got to weigh about 250 pounds. You don't want to be between this and that when it slams. I wouldn't want the door to fall on my foot, but it's got some beefy hinges. That's not going to happen. So that's the safety catch. But when you encounter various conditions, let's say rig for depth charge, rig for collision, crewmen are going to hit that latch and they're going to slam the door closed and dog it. So I'm going to let Ben, who's our muscle man, let's say we hear the rig for collision. So Ben, go ahead and seal that door. Now, of course, we're dealing with 75 years of paint and grease that's probably got the consistency of concrete. Okay, good job. Now, we should have the same pressure integrity as the pressure hull. So whatever bad stuff might be happening in the forward battery, and in that case, of course, that means there's 126 lead acid batteries in there that can short out, or if they get seawater, what happens? The seawater creates?
Chlorine gas.
Chlorine gas. I think that's how they used to execute prisoners in California. So yeah, that is something bad on the other side we don't want to have happen in here. And of course, being a torpedo room, most likely we're going to get flooding through the tubes or something like that. So we don't want certainly the seawater to get past that door, which is why it has a very robust rubber gasket. Now, of course, if you've read the story of the men of the Tang, she was sunk by her last torpedo that hit the after torpedo room, and the surviving men, after she was sunk, they gathered here in the forward room, but the batteries were shorting and there was such an intense fire that the paint on this door was beginning to sizzle and flake off from the heat. And of course, the gasket was being eaten away by the heat and toxic fumes. So it wasn't a perfect design, but it damn well was close to perfect. And we're going to talk about why. Now, I just mentioned that, the designers can't be aware of where the problem is going to be. Is there going to be pressure on that side? We want to keep that pressure out. Is there going to be pressure on this side trying to work its way through? Well, the door does fit against the flange on this side. So it has an inherent strength against a pressure force this way. But if the pressure force is on the other side of the door trying to push it this way, well, it has an inherent weakness. That is why you see these spuds all the way around the door. And you have these little rotating things. I'm going to, the exact nomenclature isn't important right now. You want to come in with a tight one here. As it's dogged, here and here, these panels will move in and a finger will press against this strong point backward. so that it shoves the door against the flange. So if there's pressure on the other side of the door, it's not going to be able to force the door open. So I'm going to step back and let's get Ben back in here and undog it. I want you to see, get a shot over here. See those spuds working. See that spud in there. Yeah, we got the lock. There we go. Good job. All right, so it's back on. And of course, this is the handle, and this is the lock on the other side of the door. And it has a small pressure-proof window, so you can see if there's fire, or you can communicate between the door, the two compartments. Like, please help open. I don't want to die. Murphy farted again, and keep the door closed if you don't want to get sick. But now. We want to demonstrate another safety feature. By the way, this elliptical door, I don't know how you call that. It's not really an oval. These doors were standard for U.S. Navy submarines. The Germans use circular doors, which are inherently stronger. In fact, as I understand it now, the Ohio class boats, and I'm not sure, I haven't been invited aboard a Virginia class. I believe they are now all using round doors with a breech lock ring, similar to our torpedo tubes. And that probably is a better design, but in 1930s, when these are being built, this was the best thinking and the best design for our boats at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that open. What we're going to do is we're going to cut to a B-roll that we shot just a moment ago, showing how if the spuds are engaged outward, you can't close the door. So we're going to cut to that. And right now, la da 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 dump. Da, 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 da. So anyway, you're seeing how that works. You can't close the door. Now, that's possible to set the door in such a way you can't close it. And I could see how that might be a problem in an emergency. You don't ever want to have that problem with this door. Let's say somebody had a nervous tick and they're playing with the handle, and they might set the spuds so that the door can't close, as was demonstrated a moment ago by Ben up with our escape trunk entrance door. You would have a big problem if we had the door set so that it was partially locked. You couldn't close it. In fact, we tried to do that with this to demonstrate that. We may demonstrate it again. That would mean you'd have catastrophic flooding through two compartments. So the designers of this system built an ingenious little system to prevent you from locking the door unless it is closed. And we're going to bring you down to this little spring-loaded device right here. Okay, and it has a very brilliant and simple operation. The door is now partially open and off the latch. So you're going to go back it up. Ben, try to close the door. Yeah, you're even, and by the way, he is, you're a power lifter, right? Gold medal. You jerked 600 pounds? Whatever. He's stronger than me. So what you saw is you could not move that beyond this point. Okay, and that is because this little, which is now jammed, what it does is it springs out and prevents this panel from moving out and down, okay? So that you could still close the door. Yeah, we heard that nice little clack. That's a little bit of stress. We probably chipped some paint. I think it moved it off that latch. So now we could still close the door. You could not lock the door and then try to close it and it wouldn't lock. So that's the point of that little safety right there. So I'm going to open this up. See, I'm doing easy stuff. Okay. That prevents the door from being rendered inoperable. Just for S&Gs, That's a technical term, shits and giggles. Go ahead and render that inoperable. Or wait a minute, that's a simple thing. I'm going to do the simple thing. You go ahead and go ahead and see. All right, yeah. See, and these spuds are coming out, so they can engage these peg points right here. Okay, that's as far as you got it?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to let that go, and it is now resting on the inside of this panel. All right, without damaging the boat, try to go ahead and close that. Evan, get in here and get some close-up. That's it. That's as far as he can get it. See, that door will not close. We never want to have that situation happen on the boat when you might have a casualty, fire, chlorine, water intrusion. So, okay, let's go ahead. Okay, simple thing I'll do. Okay, go ahead and close that. By the way, if that grease wasn't the consistency of concrete, that, you know, I'm sure on a well-oiled boat that gets daily use on its doors, that would probably be able to spin very easily. So this little feature is there to save your life in the event you have that kind of a casualty. So without breaking it again, I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and close that, and go ahead and do a nice little doggy on that. And you can see how those 4 quadrant elements are moving outward to move the spuds so they come into contact here, all the way around, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then of course the door is against the flange. So that is the World War II, and basically this system, I think, is used aboard the boats built in the 50s and perhaps even into the 60s. I'm not sure if I think the LA class boats have some of these too. Then they transition to the round doors. So that's a submarine door, and I think that pretty much covers how you would try to save the crew in the event of a catastrophe on board to limit the flooding. So, by the way, I want to thank everybody for following us on our first year on our YouTube channel. We're now tickling 10,000. So if you want, please hit the subscription button. We want to drive it up over 10,000. And Happy New Year.